What's good, y'all? This is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to the podcast. And today, as you can see in the corner, we have another lovely guest. We have another Genshin voice actress on the show. We have Stephanie
Yay!
Southerland. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello. Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh yeah, same here. I guess we'll just cut right to the chase. Before we get to the questions, I like to do like an icebreaker just to start
Ooh,
things off. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
yes.
I know that you're a voice actress, but
Yes.
what have you done
Oh my
that
goodness.
people should be aware of?
That's funny. Um, I know that I'm going to get asked that question, and without a doubt, my brain goes "Phoom," totally blank. And so I'm
It's
like,
like, what
oh,
have I done?
truly, I my brain really like just wipes clean, and I'm like, I don't know, what have I done? Um, well, I'm best known for voicing the role of Jean, the English voice of Jean in Genshin Impact. Um, let's see, I'm Freya in Fire Emblem Heroes. Um, Oh goodness. What else? What else? Oh, I'm in the Veggie Tales show. It's the latest reboot of Veggie Tales. And I play Madame
Nice.
Blueberry as well as Cauliflower. And Cauliflower's opposite of Madame Blueberry, very like young and derpy and very precocious.
My childhood,
Um,
by the way.
yeah, mine too. Mine too. It was pretty wild getting the audition and getting the callback and then booking it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just remember as a kid, I was like a little older, a little out of aged out of like the demographic they were targeting with VeggieTales, but I was like the cool older sister who was like, oh, VeggieTales, but I was like, I really like this. This is a great song.
Oh
What
wow,
else
this
is
is
there?
actually really fun.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really, really happy to be part of that franchise. It's amazing, and let's see. Actually, I have to pull up my I have to pull up my IMDb. I'm so forgetful. Um,
IMDb.
I know. Thank goodness it tracks what what I've done. But
Yeah.
let's see. I'm the voice of Polly Pocket in Polly Pocket Locket World Adventures, which is really fun. It's on YouTube. Um, and as far as anime goes, I'm in Demon Slayer's additional voices. Hidden Dungeon only I can enter as Lila Overlock, or excuse me, Layla Overlock. It's funny I can't pronounce my character's name right. Faerun, and So I'm a Spider. So what? ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. I'm Riala Thompson, who is Garfield's mom. Uh, the Irregular at Magic High School. Pixie. Gosh, yeah, I've done a few things. I've done a couple things. I'm also in God of War, which is really exciting. It's my first AAA title, and I play a crazy creature in that. So it's pretty fun. It's fun to play a wide range of characters.
Ooh, yeah, definitely. Because for you might be working on like Fire Emblem or Genshin Impact, and then the next you're doing like Veggie Tales
Oh
and
yeah,
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like
all over the place.
seriously, like all over the place. So
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Um,
pretty fun because like I feel like all of the characters I voice, that I'm fortunate enough to voice, are an extension of myself and who I really am, um, and I just love getting able to play the like quirkier side of myself and then the more serious side of myself for Jean or even more serious for Freya um and dropping into different voices or pitching up to different voices. But when it comes down to it, like it's just so fun to act and enter into these different worlds because Veggie Tales is a little bit different than God of War.
I mean, like you got a more like fun, you know, comedic how can I say this? Like it's really fun and bouncy, and then you get something else like get this really dark and dreary atmosphere when
Yes.
you get yes. Yeah.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's really funny because I for the years that I've been doing VO, I've done like a wide variety of projects. Like, let me see, what is something? Okay, so I've done like a video game where I got to be like this, a silly minion, and then the next moment I'm
Love it.
like, let me see, and then you get to be like this, and then you do like this really, just this straightforward, straight ahead, just this. then I have to do this narration. Like, oh my gosh, like this is
Yeah.
something that's been going on, and then like I'm just here, sitting here right now, and I'm just monologuing about how my life is pretty much.
Uh-huh.
It's just complicated and stuff, and then you get the serious monologue, and then you got to do, and then you get to be this fun, silly little character for like
Yes.
an hour or so.
Right.
It's
It's
just
so
funny how your
fun.
day works, like from session to session. It's just kind of, I know how it be. Especially when you do like these auditions where it's like,
Yes.
you get to beat this one character, then the next you bounce to another one, so it's all over the
Oh
place.
yeah. And like it's so wild because every day uh, like we get auditions from our agents
Yeah.
and it's fun because a lot of the time, I mean, most times, I would say probably 99.9% of the times it's a character that is brand new, doesn't exist yet. And so we're meeting them for the very first time. And so we're getting to see like, okay, so we get to decide like what do these characters like? What do they want? Who are they
Yeah.
talking to? What's their intention in the scene? It's really making us dig.
Meisner.
Yes, you know it, and
Yep.
it's so fun to dig in and really get to know these characters. And sometimes, so much of the time, auditioning is the job, and then the bookings are a little cherry on top. But like it's just so fun to get to play around and do these get to know these characters and jump from wacky and zany to really grounded and serious. And then on top of that you get like the commercial auditions that come through and conversational talking to a friend kind of auditions. So it's all over the map.
Yeah. Or you could do a commercial or promo just announcing the next video game like Nintendo. Or
Mhm.
you could do like
Yes.
another one where it's like, okay, so now I'm gonna talk about corporate stuff, which is
Uh-huh.
fine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, or
I mean,
medical
it pays the
narration.
bills. Yeah.
It pays the
Medical,
bills. It's
yes.
so true. Yeah, medical narration is always a fun one to do. Like sometimes I will do some of the pharmaceutical ads, and you have to be able to speak really really quickly and read the legal that you have to say at the end. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example. Like, um, this let's see, this medication is or please let your doctor know if you have this or this. It may
Side
cause
effects
death.
may include. Da, 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 da,
Yes,
da. Yeah.
uh-huh, exactly. So um yeah, so it pays the bills and it's very fun, but sometimes it's hard to say the medical words just because they're
Yeah.
often lengthy. But we love it.
Yeah.
This is what we love.
Yeah. So around this time, well, my first question is usually like, what is your origin story? But I kind of asked that from like pretty much everybody. So I do want to ask you, like, was acting always kind of something that was in your blood, or did you have like other career aspirations when you were a wee little lad?
Gosh.
So did it find you? Did you just fall in love with it right away?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love
Yeah.
that question. Yeah, so I actually grew up dancing. Like my mom got me in dance like when I
Wow.
was 2 years old. It was like I think I technically started at 18 months old and my older sister who's 13 months older than me, we're very close in age. She put Allison in that's her name in a dance class and I just wanted to be up there dancing as well um and so she enrolled me too and so all throughout, oh gosh, from like 18 months up until I want to say it was like sophomore year of high school, I was like into competitive dancing. I would go to competitions. I was pretty darn good. And and then I discovered theater and I think I did the school like I auditioned for the school musical. They needed chorus people. And I did that because one of my best friends was like, "I'm going to audition for the show." And so I did as well. I was like just like I'll do whatever you do. And I'm trying to think what was the first show. I can't remember, but yeah, I was just in the chorus um, and that's when I kind of was like, "Oh, you can dance and sing and act. Like, what is this?" And little by little, I started getting into it more. Did a lot of musicals in high school, um, and then decided to pursue it in college. And got my BFA in music dance theater and had every intention on doing the Broadway thing. And it was in my senior semester. I was in the middle of a show. I was in Hairspray as Tracy Turnblad. So that's a really
Nice.
tough role because she carries the whole show. And I was doing that, and I had my senior showcase and trying to knock out the last couple generals that, of course, I waited till my final semester to take. And I was just burnt out, and I just was like, I like my nights and weekends too much to to do 8 shows a week. And so yeah, I was like, how can I still perform while still maintaining like my homebodiness ways? And my brother-in-law had moved out to LA and was working on um, he's an animation film editor, picture editor, and he was working on, I believe it was Hotel Transylvania at the time. I think
Oh
that was it.
wow.
And yeah, and so I got to
Yeah.
go and he signed us in to onto the Sony lot, and I got to watch the Loop group in action, and I was like, this is so cool. This is what I want to do, and that was really what cemented it. I always loved the idea of voiceover. I always like I remember watching Mrs. Doubtfire as a little girl and being like,
Oh
"Oh,
yes.
Robin Williams, oh my gosh,
Oh yeah.
what a what an icon!" And
He comes up
yeah,
very often whenever I ask people like, who are your inspirations for
yeah,
acting stuff. Yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah. I mean,
He
he's
comes up so often.
yes, it's so wild, and he was just like, oh my gosh, like he was just an actor's actor. He loved this craft. It
Yeah.
wasn't ego chasing. It was just like pure love for the craft and creating a character. And so, yeah, it's no doubt he would come up a lot just because he's such an he yeah, he's such an inspiration for all of us, I think. But yeah, I
Yeah.
remember seeing him and stuff when I was little and being like, "Oh, that's how they do the cartoon voices." But yeah, it was definitely
Yeah.
being like in a session watching on the other side of the glass being like, oh my gosh, this is what I want. Like that was what really solidified it. And so moved out here to LA and got into classes. So yeah, there's my origin story.
Yeah, there is a lot to unpack, and unfortunately, so little time. I
I
mean,
know.
yeah. If I were to do a part two, trust me, we get into a lot more.
Oh, I
Like,
love it.
there's way more topics that we could discuss. Like, yeah, I am a nerd, and we could just geek out about pop culture all day.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that sounds
yeah,
great. Let's do it sometime.
yes, let's. But yeah, let me see. So you've done your acting, you've done dancing, and actually, funny enough, like I've been doing interviews like all this week because it's kind of been picking up for me after like a really slow, like I don't know, beginning of the year,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I would hear like people say that oh they got their background in like dancing or they did theater. Is definitely a little bit of both. I mean, like you
Yeah.
do the acting, you do the singing, dancing, all that jazz. See what
All
I did
that
there?
jazz. Yes.
Yep.
A little
So,
saucy in there.
oh yeah, I'm just kind of old school like that.
I love it.
So
That's great.
yeah, it's really fun. So let me see. How are you able to? And I also asked this for people, anybody who's done like dancing in theater, like how are you able to carry over like anything everything that you've learned from doing the classes and doing theater and dancing. So how are you able to translate all of those skills into voiceover?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, like voiceover is acting, and
Mhm.
sure you can layer a funny voice on top of it, but at the base level, it's acting and knowing how to connect with the characters, like you were saying, Meisner, like knowing who you're talking to, what they want, all of that stuff, and I think that what like having a background in theater and dance really does. And I mean even stand up or gosh, my mind just like even playing in a band, like it's like um knowing how to connect with an audience too, knowing how understanding how people are going to respond to certain things, certain acting choices that you make. um and I think that being a performer just um, it really carries over uh, to voice acting, and that it's we're all conveying a message, whether it be through lyrics in a song, whether it be through movement in a dance, and and even like story and relationships in acting. So I think it's pretty cool to see how it all interconnects, and it's really um, I think it's made me a better voice actor to have those experiences under my belt. Um, just because I grew up, putting on a show. My family's all in law enforcement, and I was like the black sheep who was like, I'm gonna go be an actor in Hollywood, and um, so yeah, I think I just always naturally had that proclivity to show off. I don't know, to perform. I guess is a better way to put it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, from the way that you, I know it's us as actors, a lot of us are kind of like, hey, I'm kind of I mean, I'm not throwing any shade at anyone here, but it's kind of the same for most of us, where it's like, oh yeah, we kind of we watched a lot of TV or played video
Yeah.
games because we were all kind of like, we're all confined into our little comfy corners, like the
Yes.
introverts and what have
Uh-huh.
you. So it's like, hey, I want to get into acting. I want to express myself, and then you'd
Yeah.
say, and then you tell your family, hey, I want to start doing this, and they're like, huh?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it be, man. It really
Yeah.
do be like that, man. But
It does.
and then when it's like, oh, I'm actually, and then when you start, gaining momentum, they're like, oh wow, this is actually working for you. Okay,
Yeah.
we support you.
It's so true. It's so
Usually,
true.
most of the
You know,
time.
I feel
Yeah.
really lucky cuz my parents have always been really supportive, and my mom was a dancer, and she got me
Mhm.
into performing when I was little. And then my dad, he always said to me, like, he was like, you, especially when uh we made the decision, me and my husband and I made the decision to move to LA. My dad always said, like, oh, I wish I had followed my what I really wanted, because he said he would have loved to work for LAPD and move to LA and do the thing, but he had a great job in Utah, where I was from, or where I am from, and never made that jump. And he said that he was just really proud of me for knowing what I wanted to do and going for it. And so I'm really fortunate, but that doesn't mean that they weren't concerned, like, how is she gonna pay the bills and
Yeah.
all of that good stuff. And thankfully, especially now that I have some traction in my career, have a couple years under my belt of doing this full time, it's
Yeah.
they're less
It's
concerned
crazy.
about the
Yeah.
bills being paid. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
especially if you're in LA, like which I know LA, her 405 traffic, or oh, it's
yeah.
expensive, and but
Uh-huh.
it's like, if you can make it work, bravo, okay?
Yeah.
And also, if you were lucky, like actually being born and raised here, like I was, for like the last 23 or so years, it, I mean, you don't have to worry about moving, but you still got to worry about, paying the bills and,
Yeah, it's not cheap.
taxes and, yeah,
Uh-huh.
and the adulting, because like for me, I gotta, keep track of finances, you gotta keep track of, your bank, and you gotta
Yeah.
make sure that nothing goes wrong and you don't
Right.
get scammed out of fraud and
Uh,
stuff. Trust me, like
right.
I've been there.
Oh
But
no.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
and
no, I'm doing fine now. But
okay,
yeah,
cool.
it's rough. It's
Oh my
rough.
gosh. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, like, as a child, you look at grown-ups and you're like, they're so lucky they can do whatever they want, which is true in a way,
But
but
no,
also,
you get, and it's like, yeah, they're kind of looking at us. I mean, like parents, they love us and stuff, but now it's like,
yeah.
yeah, like this is the real world. Like
Yeah,
now
and there's a
you
lot
get
of
to be in their
maintenance.
shoes.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot that goes into managing and maintaining a life, and making sure it's a good one, a quality, what you want, and what's healthy and good ultimately for your soul.
Yeah. So looking at your bio, and it's like it kind of answered like most of what people should know about you. And I think something that really caught my attention was that you traveled across the U.S. and Australia for a music dance
Yeah.
theater group as a
Yes.
soloist. So yeah, and you earned your BFA. So yeah, how was that like?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I was really, really lucky to go to a university that had an incredible music dance theater program, and it was even though it was a university with all the degrees, that the program itself, the music dance theater program itself, was really like conservatory, and um, I got to do some incredible shows, meet some incredible people, and yeah, I was in this group. It was a singing, dancing, entertainer group. We would do a musical review, and so there were the year that I was in it, it was called the New American Songbook, and we started kind of like the first half of the show was all about like the hits of the 70s, the 80s, the big hits, and performing those. And then the second half was musical theater. We did numbers from, oh gosh, I can't think of what we did numbers from. I feel like we did something from Damn Yankees, Phantom of the Opera, Wicked, the Lion. Did we do the Lion King? I can't remember now. It's all such a
You,
blur. Mary Poppins.
you done musical theater, it feels like you got to do the Lion King at some point.
Yeah, of course, right? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it's a classic. That and Beauty and the Beast, I feel like are ones that everyone has on their on their resumes. Those are
Oh yeah. Yeah.
the good musical theater like entry points for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, yeah, we did numbers from a lot of those musicals, and I'm sure a couple others that I'm just not remembering. But we toured across the US, and then we went to Australia. We were on the east coast of Australia, starting up in, oh, I think I bumped my camera. Uh-oh. Why fooey. Here, let me push pause, and then I'll jump back in to answer your question. One second.
Okay.
Oops, and I was muted all that time. Sorry about that.
No
Yeah, I
worries.
was kicking and swinging my feet and bumped my cable that has my webcam hooked up, or that it's plugged into. So my bad.
It happens. Anyway.
Anyway, what I was saying is we traveled across the US and then went to Australia. We were on the east coast of Australia, starting up in Brisbane, and then we went down to, let's see, we went down to Sydney and then Melbourne, and then across to Tasmania for a little bit, back up to Melbourne, and headed home. And it was incredible. And that group is actually where I met my husband, um and
Nice.
yeah, he's a musician and a recording engineer, and it happens to work out that we both are in the industry, and it's been fun when I get to be over at his studio for sessions when he's the engineer. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of what that whole situation. I was just very fortunate to get to be a part of that and to have such full life opportunities, life experiences being in that group.
From Utah to LA.
Utah to
Let's
LA.
discuss how
Yeah.
is the move? Yeah.
Oh
Of
my
getting
gosh.
to make the transition. Like,
Yeah.
when was the point that you felt that you were ready to make the big move?
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't think you can ever be fully ready, but since my husband is in the entertainment industry as well, he was working on a
Nice.
show up in Utah, and really, really great show, and it was coming to an end, wrapping up, and we were like, well, let's just do it. And we had nothing. We didn't have jobs lined up. We found a place to live, and thankfully it's because his brother lived out here, and we were able to come and visit and go house hunting, apartment hunting. um, and so we got an apartment lined up, and then we packed up everything and moved out here. And the first, oh gosh, maybe the first couple months we just lived off our savings. We'd really made sure to save up because we were like, LA is more expensive than Utah. um, so that was a little bit daunting, to say the least, but we were able to get jobs. He got a job working at a smaller recording studio, and it was the best thing for him. Um he got so much experience, and was able to join the union. He's in the Editors Guild through that job, and he's now at Warner Brothers. And and then for me, I actually started. I was like, I just need a job to pay the bills, so I was working at the library as an audiovisual um, associate. Is that the word? Assistant. That's what I was. I was the audiovisual assistant, and then I just started taking voiceover classes, and uh, took classes at the Voice Caster and Richard Horvitz, and the
Yeah, my man
yeah.
Richard.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's so great. He's just delightful as a human, and so talented, and then an
I know, right?
incredible teacher on top
Yeah.
of it. So he's like the best. But yeah, I eventually got a job at one of the casting houses that I took classes at, and it was primarily commercial voiceover that we were casting. So, yeah, I got my foot in the door there, and through that, got to know a lot of agents and a lot of other actors. And yeah, that's how it all kind of came together. The thing is it was just like you can never be fully ready to make a big move, but you just gotta like trust that if this is where you feel called to be and feel like it's the right thing, then trust your heart and go for it. And it's worked out. I'm really grateful it's worked out.
And so going over some of your work, I know that you've done like we talked about before earlier, like you've done you have quite the versatility when it comes to the shows that you've worked on. So, I don't want to ask which ones are some of your absolute, like you've listed some of your most well known, and I don't want to ask what are some of your favorites, but
Yeah.
I just want to ask you, what are the roles that really means, that really struck a chord with you? That what are the characters, the roles that you say that you, because every one of your roles, like you mentioned, is a part of your personality. So what are some of
Yeah.
the characters that really mean a lot to you
Oh my
that
goodness.
you could say that you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I love this.
Oh,
Absolutely love
I love
this.
this question. Yeah, this is
And
so
who are some of your most relatable that you personally see yourself like
yeah. Ooh,
relatability?
I love this question a lot. So I feel like I've told this story so many times, but I just love playing Jean. Like I feel like I really connected with her from the first time I looked at the audition. And I remember when I received the audition for Jean, there were a bunch of other characters that you meet early on in the game, and I read for all of them. I was like, oh, this looks cool. I had no idea. I knew nothing about the game because it was, it hadn't come out yet. There was some beta testing and whatnot, but yeah, I read the audition for Jean, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like me when I'm not in my like like hyper excited mode. Like when I'm like focused and um bookish and um really driven, hard on herself. I just really related to Jean, and I was so lucky to get a call back for Jean, um and I saw Karina Becker. They were there for Paimon, and I was like, oh my gosh, that role would be
My previous
should
guest.
really. Oh my gosh, I love them. They are
Yeah.
wonderful. Newly engaged. um,
Yeah, congrats. Hats
Yes,
off
I'm
to
so
them.
happy for them. And yeah, they and Eddie are a wonderful couple, and I'm just so happy for them. But yeah, I saw them at the callback, and was like, "Oh, I'm familiar with this Paimon role, and if they don't get it, then I will be upset." But but yeah, I was lucky to get cast in this role, and I just feel like Jean is like an extension of myself, like I said, with so many of my other characters, but just at a very ground level of who I am and what I want in life. I want to take care of people. I want to protect. I have a lot of pride for where I come from, and I feel like I'm a hard worker. I would venture to say I'm a bit of a workaholic. Blame my dad for that. Um, my dad and my grandmother, both grandmothers actually, were quite workaholics. But yeah, I just think Jean, I relate to her so much, and she's constantly striving for giving her all, being her at her best, and she can be hard on herself when she falls short of that. And I certainly get that way as well. Um, I think as far as another character that means a lot to me, I I got to play this little adorable little creature named Gumchi from Ninjala, and on their anime series, and Gumchi was like the first role that I booked that was like a character with like no talking. It was all like very, very gibberish, no real words. And I think that one means so much to me because it really showed me that like I can do this. Like I can do creature sounds. So yeah, that's one that means a lot to me as well. I mean, every character is like a piece of my heart, and really fills a spot in it, and I'm really lucky to get to play such fun characters. Even the villains. Like I'm in this great series Rainbow High, and I play Natasha Zima, or yes, Natasha Zima. I'm like, did I get the names mixed up? Natasha is very like airhead and like not very bright. And then I play this other character whose her name is Glitch, and she's like the villain. And I love getting to play a villain just because it's so opposite from who I feel in my heart that I am. But knowing that she's not a villain just for the sake of being a villain, she's a villain because she has a backstory there. She's gone through stuff. Um, so yeah, that was my very long-winded answer to your question.
Yeah. So I do have a couple more questions. So this is gonna be part one, and I'm just gonna make another
Oh, great!
part for this one so we can wrap this up short
Love it.
in a little bit. So yeah, stay tuned for part two, folks, and yeah, see you in a bit.